So it's my great pleasure to introduce Hector Minto, who's from Microsoft, who's going to talk about a load of other intuitive assistive technologies. Hector's got the best job description or job title I've ever had. I'm a consultant at Bill Brown. Hector is Assistive Technology Evangelist for Microsoft. How cool is that? Hector.
Yeah, that job title sounds great, but it's terrible when you're looking for car insurance, I have to say. And I actually thought my insurance would go down because it was somewhat religious. It actually went up. So it says something about the religious. Anyway, right. So yeah, thank you for inviting me here today. I'm really happy to be here and share some of the work that we're doing on disability and what we call accessibility at Microsoft. I'm starting here on my computer. You invite the Microsoft guy. He plugs his own PC in, that's, just in case there are any Macs in the room. But what I'm going to show you is kind of how I work. And we work in a team at Microsoft that includes a lot of people who are blind, who have autism, who are deaf, and so we have to behave in an inclusive way. What that's helping us do is build the future tools that will include all people in technology, and that's really the challenge. Society is pushing us all online rapidly as post offices close or as we're expected to go online and book doctor's appointments. When that happens, we can no longer expect it just to be for those people who can use a keyboard and a mouse. So things like the voice control and things are definitely things that are coming. But this is standard PowerPoint. This is a feature that we've got plugged in at the moment. But what you'll notice is when I get going on this, let's just move this up here, is that I have subtitles. Okay, now the subtitles really depend on the microphone quality and the voice quality we've got in the room and the internet access that we have. But essentially what you'll see here is that I can have subtitles in every meeting I ever give. Now, are subtitles really only useful for people who are deaf? Well, no. These really help people who are just maybe not concentrating. And you do get mistakes. So for those who can't see this, it says deaf rather than deaf. I need speech and language therapy to get that right, especially as I speak to the deaf audiences. But this is for free and just built into PowerPoint. And the whole point here is that voice transcription is actually what we're interested in here. At the moment, when you go looking for a lecture that was given previously, a student goes looking for a lecture, they look for the name of the lecturer or the subject. In the very near future, in fact, today, you're going to be able to search for what somebody said in that lecture, and it will take you straight to the part of the video where they said it. Okay? So search is moving to voice transcription. But the investment that we're making in it right now is around disability. I'm going to turn these off just so I'm going to hide them just as we go through. I'll leave them there. If they start to get annoying or they start blocking some of the stuff that they are blocking. Hang on. Let me just hide them. Just on this, if anybody was wanting to have this presentation in Urdu or Gujarat or Bangla, you would be able to log into my call there through that QR code and have it transcribed straight onto your phone. So it's not just doing the transcription, it's also doing the translation all in the cloud, which is inclusive. What we're here to do in the accessibility team is recognize that people's relationship with technology is changing. So you have to use technology nowadays, and that requires a different audience. And we call this inclusive design. So when we design for somebody who is one-handed, has one arm missing, we help people who are carrying their child to send that email. So when we design the interface for the one-handed person, it's got a much bigger use case. And there's a link here, aka.ms/inclusive design, where you can go and watch videos of this design process in action. When we try to convince our teams to invest in disability, this really helps. This is the World Health Organization's redefinition of disability. So it's no longer a personal health condition, or we don't consider it a disability as a personal health condition. It's a mismatch between you and what you're trying to do. So when we design technology, we're more interested in, can this person see this? Can this person understand this? Can this person read this? We're more interested in that than, does this person have Down syndrome? Does this person have PCA? Has this person had a stroke? That bit doesn't really matter. Focusing on the human interaction is really what drives our teams forward. We live in very different times. So if we think of things like computer support, how does somebody who's blind get computer support when their computer crashes or locks up? Well, today, Microsoft are the only company in the world that use something called Be My Eyes for technical support. What that means is you can go into the Be My Eyes app, and a volunteer, or somebody actually from our tech support team, will actually be your eyes for you and talk you through how to get back up and running. That same app can be used for somebody who's blind to buy some jeans or do their food shopping. Yeah? Now, that's been designed for people who are blind, classically blind, but is just as useful for somebody who's had a stroke, if they can get into the app, or somebody who's got dementia, if they can get into the app. So the app is there to allow somebody else to talk for you. This is all because we're sitting in a cloud-connected world. You know, there are volunteers there somewhere in the world waiting to be your eyes for you. We live in very different times. But let me show you some of the things that we're releasing in Word and in Windows. This is Read Aloud in Word. So now you'll see that it's highlighting the words and it speaks them out loud at the same time. Every document in an email, online, or any web page in our browser, any Word document can now be read aloud with highlighting. That's standard. Because we understand there are lots of people who are trying to access Word who cannot read. There are many documents that are sent out to people expecting them to be able to read them, but they cannot read them. So the computer can. So we need to raise expectation that this is possible. I mean, how many people in the room knew that you could ask an email to be read out loud to you by Office? Only a few, right? Okay, so we've got to get to a world where that's just expected, in the same way that Amazon have done a fantastic job, you know, knowing that you can voice control a radio. We've just got to move to a world where people just know that that's possible. This is the highlighted reading in Edge. So this is the Vision UK website. All you have to do on a website now today is right-click or press and hold on a touchscreen, choose Read Aloud, and it will read the whole thing with highlighting. So you see the words at the same time that they're spoken. So you see them highlighted. And obviously you can magnify in there. We also have Colorblind Filters in Windows. This has only just come out. Can you believe that? You know, can you believe that in 2018 we've only just released Colorblind Filters in Windows? But at any point I can press Control Windows C on my computer and I force my computer into a different view. Now I'm using the inverted grayscale mode here, so everything's gone very black and white. But also, if I want to magnify in Windows, we all know how to magnify a web page, don't we? We can pinch and zoom. But how many people know how to magnify on their desktop computer at home? Sorry? Don't even need to go that far anymore. So what we do is the Windows key and plus, yeah, and you will zoom in. And now I can move around at really high magnification within this. Windows Escape takes you back to normal. So again, this is about expectation. We need people to know that that changing a view is as simple as Control Windows C to change the color contrast or the color filter, to Windows Plus to magnify and zoom in. We've just got to let, you know, we want professionals, people who are out there working with people in the community to know that this is not only possible, even if you can't remember how to do it, remember that you can do it. Yeah? Okay, let's move on. The other thing that we can do is we can take text from anywhere and force it into a specific view. So here I am in something called OneNote, and we've got some text in a viewer. Now this original text actually looked like this, okay? So this would be difficult for many, many people to read. The font is too small. We talked about spacing earlier. The words are too close together. Now in a free app called OneNote, which is part of Office, you can force it into what we call the Immersive Reader. So you force any text into your preferred view. And your preferred view might be a different font size, so we've got bigger. You might want to increase the spacing between the words. You might want to force it into a white on black view or a black on yellow view. You might also want to split the syllables in the words to make it easier for you to split them up. And it will do that to any text. And then you can press Read Aloud, and it will read it with highlighting. Now that's as quick as that. It will remember those settings for you. All you have to do is put your text in that program or take a photo of that text with your phones, and it will then send it over the cloud to your OneNote for you to be able to read it out. Okay? Right, let's flick back. I always go over, so let's go. I think I saw earlier that you had the rulers with the perspex, just for magnifying that single line. So one of the views within that software, within OneNote, is also this line mode. Yep, so you can force your computer to give you text where you're only looking at one line at a time. This has all been designed around a big dyslexia project that Microsoft is working on. All of the settings are just as applicable to the things that you've been talking about today. Memory. Lots of people need help with their memory. So now within Windows, when you write in an email that I will see you at 4 o'clock, or I will send you that file at 4 o'clock, at 3:30, Windows knows that you said that in an email, and it will then give you a reminder. You don't need to set a reminder. Artificial intelligence will actually do that for you. Okay? The other thing you were talking about is access to documents, or access to reminders. Remember we were saying, I don't want to tell people what my condition is every day. Okay? I don't want to tell people about me every day and my past every day. Well, you can have an online sway, an online PowerPoint presentation of you that's completely secure, yeah, that you can carry around on a QR code or a little web link, and people can always just go straight to their phones and go straight to a file that's just about you, which can be kept updated by your care team or by your families. This is actually on our dementia project that we're running up in Cheshire at the moment with the schools, doing exactly that. Okay, let's just dismiss that reminder. Quickly, eye tracking. Now, eye tracking is also built into Windows 10 now. So somebody with a severe physical disability can control their computer just with their eyes. But because that technology is now just $150 to buy an eye tracker and put it onto the computer, we can plug an eye tracker onto a Windows PC now, and we can see exactly what somebody is looking at on the screen live. So rather than relying on somebody pointing at something, you can see where they're looking. And I think there's an opportunity there for us to do aided conversation, sitting with somebody, seeing where they're looking and giving them guidance, or doing reminiscence therapy with them based on what they're looking at rather than what we're relying on them communicating or pointing to. But because the technology is so cheap now, I think that's something you can definitely start to look at. Okay, finally, innovation. Most of the things that we're talking about here use some form of cloud connectivity, talking to the internet, or they require some artificial intelligence. I'm going to show you a couple of apps now, or you'll be able to hear them, hopefully. We have an app called Seeing AI, Seeing Artificial Intelligence. It was designed by a blind coder at Microsoft. He set up his own team at Microsoft, and he ran the team to develop this software for people who are blind like himself. And let's just get it up and running. It has some channels on it. So it can recognize text. Here's today's newspaper. You can challenge me with any text. It doesn't really matter, it's a live demo. It can always go wrong. Here I am going to basically hold my phone up in front of today's newspaper and... let's just turn the volume up. Live demo. Let's switch the volume off to be for secret. Hang on a second. Okay. Short text channel.
Sure, but ITF lives here. But IT could cost Brits F by 8 G and grant cans T their einal. Citizens. UK Arta will have to angwer 3 question and pay it wag. The announcement...
It doesn't like that font. Hang on a second. Okay, here we go.
Grab of England team is not. Cheekin and Marcus. Sterling. The football meant on the ender Arnold. Kieran Trippier to be told who. We have Elfdes and who.
Doesn't like this. This could be with formatting. Let's give me another one. Come on, live demo. Just give me a bit of text. Just give me a bit at the start. Somebody's bio. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, here we go again. Right, let's try again.
Speakers UK 3. Speak 3. University College and Vision UK and 3. Speakers biographies. Michael Bowen, Director of Research. The College of Optometrists.
Okay.
Michael Bowen is Director of Research at...
Essentially what this does is it gives live OCR. It allows you to just basically flash your camera over some text and it will read it out to you out loud. Okay, so that's designed for people who are blind, but equally if you've got somebody who cannot read, you can have a letter. It will even take photos of handwriting and read that out live to you. It will also recognize objects. So you can go shopping with it, scan barcodes. It will recognize where the barcode is straight away and tell you what that object is. It will also recognize people, and maybe this is the one to be interested in. So it can recognize people's faces. If I were to take your photo, you ready?
One face near top right 6 feet. One face processing. 38-year-old man with black hair looking happy.
Okay. But what I can also do with that is I can train it to say, Sebastian, my doctor, or my psychologist. Okay. Okay. Now, at that point, somebody just needs to walk into a room. If they can't remember who that person is, push the app around, it will recognize the person and give them the label. And those labels can be absolutely anything. Okay. What we really want that to do is so much more. At the moment, that's been designed... Sorry. That's been designed for somebody who's blind, and it's been specifically designed by somebody who's blind and able to kind of navigate the world around them, and those tools have been designed with them in mind. But they are just tools, okay? So one thing that we're going to do, and I'll just show you here, is that we've just announced what's called the AI for Accessibility grant program. Many of you are linked into community groups, NGOs, university research teams. We think artificial intelligence has a huge role to play in making the world more accessible for people, and the tools that we're showing here, live voice recognition, live person recognition, live text recognition, are all tools that could be reapplied to solve other issues than things like seeing AI. If you have great ideas or connected to people with great ideas, Microsoft has just put together a $25 million grant program to give you the resources to go and create those tools. At the moment, Seeing AI, Soundscape, our navigation app, these are free things that Microsoft just did as kind of passion projects to get out there and work in the disability space. We think we've done some amazing things so far, but actually, we think you're the experts. So what we want to do is fund you to go and do these things. So that grants program opens up next month, and it's called AI for Accessibility. I'll leave my contact details up on the screen so people can take photos. But if you're interested in that, please feel free to contact me. And I'm happy to take any questions. I'm sorry I ran over.
Hi, I'm Andrew from Focus Birmingham, Low Vision Service in Birmingham. Can I just say thank you very much for Seeing AI. It's brilliant. Is it coming to Android? Please.
So I have no answer for you today on that. We all want it to get to Android. Yeah, that's all I can say. But at the moment, I mean, just to give you why it came first to iOS, in the US, where the team work, iPhones are the phone of choice for people who are blind, and also it's the most controllable kind of design. You know, when you design for Android, you have to design for many more versions, so there's more cost. You know, it's a free app at this stage, but I totally agree. For that sort of technology to go truly global, it's going to have to be delivered on Android as well. Yeah. We know.
Yeah, one more over here. Lady here.
Hello. My husband has PCA, and he cannot use a computer now because he can't see the icons he's meant to click on, and he's not accurate in clicking because he perceives things to be in a different place from where they actually are. Neither can he use a mobile phone. I think he'd already started suffering with very early symptoms of PCA before we tried to get him to use a mobile phone, and he was never able to learn how to use one. So how can he possibly utilize any of this?
So I would concentrate on function first. You know, what specific thing, what are the first things you want to achieve, what are the first things you want to go back to and to get going again, and then it's a matter of thinking around what different input methods you might have. You know, if you're pressing buttons, if your vision is perceiving a button to be in a separate place, that's not something you're going to be able to get around. So you're then starting to think of things like voice control. So Cortana is your digital assistant on Windows 10. You should maybe have a look at it. So it's very similar to the Echo, but on your computer. And then go and read up the sorts of things that you can do with it. So you can set reminders, you can ask for the news, you can send a note to somebody. You know, so many of the things that the technology was doing for you, you can do through voice. We are hoping we get to the stage where Cortana does a lot more, where voice does a lot more. So today we can have a website read aloud, but also at the moment we cannot say, "Hey Cortana, can you read that website to me?" You know, so we've got the different bits of the technology, but they're not necessarily all talking to one another yet. But that's definitely the intention. Okay. Oh, and just quickly on computer access assessment, there are NHS teams who are responsible for that. They're called the Environmental Control Service. It's one of those kind of small bits of the NHS that nobody ever talks about, but it's their contractual obligation to answer that question, might be my provocative comment.
I'd just say, from a practical perspective, as an ophthalmologist in a clinic, and we're talking about certification, and just not in the dementia space, but certainly in the low vision space, the most significant advance in low vision aids at the moment is tablets. The things they can do are incredible, and I'm sure that with a bit of playing around, you can find not perfect ways, but ways to help. One last question, yeah.
Hi, I'm Neil, rehab worker from Croydon. Just in your presentation about zooming in and zooming out on Windows, I'm quite curious because does that track with Word? So when you're typing, does it track along whilst it's in that zoom focus?
Yeah, so there's a new, relatively new setting to follow cursor. So magnifier follows cursor. There's also the option to follow narrator, the built-in screen reader, so the cursor should also follow that. I think you need to just go in and take a look through the latest settings. The other thing, just quickly on settings, is that we now live in a world where Office updates every month and Windows updates every 6 months, so you do need to be on top of this stuff more so than ever before. Yeah.
Thanks.